If you think that Trump having this fantasy of naming the prison Alligator Alcatraz is a coincidence, you don't know history. And you don't know the history of racist white America and what used to happen with black children. So today's 10-minute workshop is titled Alligator Alcatraz: From Slavery to Trump, America's Twisted Obsession with Black Bodies and Beast. So some people heard Trump joking about building the Alligator Alcatraz, right, to house some of the, quote, illegal and criminal immigrants, but we know that he's just rounding up anybody that's black or brown. Well, he joked about a prison fortress that would have moats and also alligators, and they laughed about it. But we who know history, we educated people, especially educated black folk, we don't laugh about it because we remember. So let me give you a brief history lesson for you all. Okay? America's always had a sick fascination with pairing black bodies with beasts, especially alligators. So during slavery, as well in the 20th century, many white people told tales and created actual advertisements, you all, and cartoons about using black babies as bait for alligators. Yes, you heard me. I'm not making this shit up, y'all. For you dumb ass MAGAs who don't want to read a fucking book, read and you will see that this is factual. In 1908, an article from the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, the headline read, "Bait alligators with pickaninnies." That's what they call black people, black children, if you didn't know that. They wrote about how black infants were supposedly lured out by the edge of the swamps in Florida to attract gators. And even if the practice wasn't widespread, the fact that it publicly discussed and was normalized and even joked about is proof of how little black life was valued. And not only did they do it to lure away the alligators so that the fishermen could fish. But they also did it for sport. Because see, when you don't value life and when you see a black baby as just chattel, as just property, you don't give a shit if you feed it to an alligator. Yeah. So black children were reduced to what? Tools, objects, disposable. And white society turned that brutality into entertainment and commerce, right? Images of smiling alligators, snatching brown babies, grace postcards, storybooks, and films. Yes, that's America. That's the same America that so many of you all want to fucking say make great again. White folk, America was never great for black people, for indigenous people, for natives. You're lying to yourselves. And I'm telling you now, I'm trying to warn you, white folk, if you don't repent of your ancestors' sins, you are going to reap it. And your children are going to reap it. And I guarantee it. And it's not a threat, it's a promise. It's a biblical promise. Just like blessings of God is passed down from the generation to generation, so are the curses. You've gotten away with it too long. And now the day of reckoning has come, white folk. You better be on the right side of history for this. So let's talk about the psychology behind this whole fascination with alligators. Why alligators, you may say? Because they're primal. They're vicious. They represent danger and death. The very thing, this very spirit and vitriol that it took for demonic white folk to enslave, castrate, rape, pillage, dominate black and brown people. That is why so many racist white folk identify with alligators, because they share the same primal, vicious trait. I'm not sitting here bullshitting you, making this shit up. I got better things I could do, but I'm here trying to educate you white folk who are listening. I'm teaching you to educate you, to warn you. Now, if you're an ally, you already know this, so it doesn't matter. And black people, those who may not know this, this is another eye-opener to what and why it happened. So when white America historically associates black children with gator bait, because that's what they were called, it reveals something chilling, that they saw black innocence as expendable, black flesh as animal food, and black pain as a punchline. And now we hear the President of the United States name a prison fantasy of Alligator Alcatraz. And he's done it. Because they just put a sign up saying, as you enter the facility, it's called Alligator Alcatraz. You think that's a coincidence, you all? Come on. Come on, white folk. Come on. white evangelical Christians, wake the fuck up. This is serious. Your president thinks it's a joke to threaten to put brown people and anybody who disagrees with him in Alligator Alcatraz, where there's a moat and alligators in the water, so that if you try to escape, you are eaten by the alligators. And you think he's a Christian? This is your president you voted for. You stupid ass, selfish white folk. Now, if you don't fit, don't take it. You think God is pleased with this? You sitting in your little churches, comfortable, drinking your little coffee while the praise and worship team sings their little watered down, stupid ass worship music with no rhythm, whitewashed. And then your little white pastor gets in the pulpit and preaches little love everybody gospel. The pastor's going to hell and so are y'all. Because you're not teaching the true followings of Christ. Because Christ was never a racist. Christ was never, ever hateful towards someone based on them being different. If this is Christianity, I don't want no fucking part of it. Modern parallel, Trump's Alligator Alcatraz. Let's talk about what's happening now. Donald Trump has been tossing around the idea of building a high security prison for his enemies. A kind of dystopian revenge fantasy. He calls it Alligator Alcatraz. A prison surrounded by water and dangerous alligators, where he jokes about locking up political opponents, immigrants, and critics. Well, I tell you what, why don't we lock up his wife? Let's lock that bitch up. Fucking people make me sick. See, at first glance, it sounds like something out of a cartoon, right? But for black people, especially those who know this country's violent legacy, it lands differently. Because when a white man in power jokes about a cage or predators and punishment, we remember. We remember the slave ships. We remember the breeding farms. We remember the lynch mobs. We remember the prisons. We remember the children taken. We remember the babies baited. See, your president, Trump, may be joking, but our memory is not laughing. The danger of this rhetoric, Trump's Alligator Alcatraz, is not a joke. It's a trial balloon. Authoritarians always start with jokes to see how much the people will tolerate. And too many are clapping, laughing, and cheering it on. But let's be clear. Let's be clear, folks. Presidents should not fantasize about imprisoning enemies. America should not be desensitized to cruel fantasies. And black people especially must see the deeper spiritual and historical meaning behind this so-called joke. This is more than politics, y'all. This is about the spirit of a country that has never fully repented for what is done to its people. And every time someone like Trump gets on the stage and makes a joke about prisons and predators and punishment and the crowd's war, we feel the echo of every ancestor who was devoured by this system. See, Alligator Alcatraz is not just a metaphor, it's a mirror. It reflects America's twisted love affair with violence, white America's love affair with violence, captivity, and black suffering. So no, we're not laughing, we're remembering, we're warning, and we are rising. So people, white folk, the traps that you set for black and brown people, I promise you, in these last and evil days, your foot will be caught in the trap. And you, my friend, will die on the sword. Because what you set for black and brown people, it is now the day of reckoning. And unless you have repented and are an ally and are on the right side of justice, you will fall on the sword. You and your generations to come. And that's not a threat. That's a biblical, godly, divine promise.